I'm glad you're here. Page 303 is the section in the book that we are on. Please make sure you have the following materials. Have your note cards full of geometry terms that we are using, things that you need to know. Have something to write with, have a highlighter, have a pencil, and have some tracing paper. We're going to use tracing paper in this lesson today. All right, are you ready? Let's get into it. So take your highlighter, and we're going to acknowledge things that mathematicians do that you're going to be doing in this lesson or building upon skill-wise. You're going to reason abstractly and quantitatively. You're going to construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others. This lesson, corresponding angles theorem, means you should probably have the note card for definition of corresponding angles and have another note card ready to write down the corresponding angles theorem, because that is the vocabulary of the day. This lesson also totally relates to one of the learning targets, prove the corresponding angles theorem, along others that we will do. So in order to have a proof for that, let's get into it. Let's use translations to prove the conjecture that when a transversal, so that's the line going across parallel lines, cuts parallel lines, corresponding angles are congruent. That's the vocab word. I'm also going to highlight the word transversal. I don't think I've covered it enough. I don't think it can ever be covered enough that you understand what a transversal is, since that is the linchpin for all of the things that we do in our relationships of angles. Consider these three proofs of translations when formulating a proof. Line segments that are taken to line segments of the same length. Angles are taken to angles of the same measure. And then a translated line is neither identical to the original line or parallel, is either identical. So those three statements are what we get to use when we trace and translate the line that's there. In order for us to see parallel lines, here's what we're going to need to do. We're going to need to draw AB longer. So I'm got my pencil, I got my straight edge. The given diagram shows that angle ABC and line segment B to B prime. Well, here's B to B prime. So what we need to do is draw line AB. It's a ray right now, I guess. Draw it longer. So with my pencil, I'm going to sketch it in. And then we need to also create the translation. So here we go. So I'm going to use my tracing paper, and I'm going to use the tracing paper to translate angle ABC in this direction. All right, that's as far as we're going to move angle ABC. So trace it. Something that I notice, and I'm going to do this is the angle that I want to translate, but it has to go in this direction. So I'm going to draw my ray showing the direction that it's going to go. And so I always know I'm going to keep my ray on top of itself and the angle, so I'm going to slide along this line. And here we go. I've translated the angle. Now, in order for this to officially work, I got to use a tracing cheat code, and that is to flip the tracing paper over, trace the other side of the tracing paper, and then retrace again. So trace it up, it looks good. Trace the trace. Down like that, and across like that. There we go, I got my angle, it's been copied. I don't need to copy the arrow down, so I'm gonna erase the arrow that was there that I drew, but I have my angle. And then to make it be like put into place, I'm gonna go ahead and draw my line. I can draw better than that. You're seeing some of the issues that I'm struggling with. I'm sure you, when you draw them, have your own elements and issues that you need to deal with. So make the adjustments. All right, there we go. Good so far. Now, what else is next? What else do we need to do? Oh, I need to draw this line out this way. Yeah, something along that direction. There we have it. We have this angle ABC has been translated down to the angle down here. Label the points A prime and C prime. So A prime, I realize I didn't put on the dot. A prime is here, C prime is here, so A prime is there, C prime is there, mark it, A prime, C prime. There you have it, right? Draw the translation of angle ABC along the ray BB prime, and then label the points A prime and C prime. Okay, now identify a pair of parallel lines. So for example, one of the pairs of parallel lines are these two. Because they are lines cut by a transversal, this is the transversal that's cutting them, so therefore they're creating congruent angles. B, C, and B prime, C prime is a pair of parallel lines. Parallel is the symbol with two lines side by side it. B prime, C prime. Those are parallel. How do I know? Well, because when I translated the angle ABC, the ray BC was created parallel to ray B prime C prime. Okay, that's one pair of parallel lines that I know exist. Okay. Draw transversal B prime, and then identify a pair of corresponding angles. And so a pair of corresponding angles on B prime. So in order for this to be a transversal, it has to cross parallel lines. Here's another pair of parallel lines. I have this angle and this angle. So my transversal is being crossed, crossing these two angles, these two lines. And then the angles that are created that are corresponding would be that one and that one, the ones that I'm highlighting in orange. So draw, check, identify a pair of corresponding angles. Let's do that from the diagram up above. A pair of corresponding angles would be DBA and B prime, A prime. Angle DBA and angle B prime A with the prime. How do I know that they're congruent? I mean, they're corresponding. How do you know the corresponding angles are congruent? Because I used a translation. A translation from one angle to the other is or shows congruent. Okay, let's see if that's all visible in the screen. Hey, thank you so much for watching page 303, the first part of the corresponding angles theorem, the fact that corresponding angles are congruent. This is a diagram that you should think about adding to the back of a note card for corresponding angles theorem, the diagram being the orange part crossing these two parallel lines. When that happens, you have corresponding angles, and those corresponding angles are congruent. Thanks for watching. Please go ahead and click on page 304, and let's continue our conversation on these geometry theorems. Thanks. Bye.